Mr. Tony.
Good evening.
As the pioneer chairman of the section of business law over 9 years ago, I'm sure you're very happy to see what the section of business law has become.
Sure.
I've heard participants say, oh, this is now exactly like the IBA. So basically, we brought the IBA to Nigeria. What is your view on this?
Very clearly, when we started, the idea was to create something for ourselves which can attract this sort of quality you can get everywhere. Perhaps you've observed that there's a penchant for Nigerian lawyers to run abroad for one kind of conference or the other. And when you go through the conference requirements, you can't relate to about 70% of the topics that are there because these conferences have been planned for themselves. So you spend a lot of money, tickets, hotels, and then you come back not quite sure if there's been any knowledge gained. So the challenge for us was to create something that would be relevant to our needs and get Nigerian lawyers to understand that they want to participate in it. You've heard from all the sessions how they rely on lawyers, the advocacy they're all talking about to bring about change. It's best done by lawyers. But if you're not informed, how do you do it? A lot of esoteric work is going on around in the legal world. If you don't know, how will you advise a client? The world is getting increasingly globalized. Services, including legal services, a lot of cross-border work is taking place amongst them. If we don't up our act, how do you compete? I just feel we should stop feeling sorry for ourselves. Get on with what we need to do and change the landscape.
And part of the highlights of this year's conference was the Council to Council Forum, which was one of the most interesting for me because I've also had a taste of both sides. I started in private practice and now I'm in-house. And also the Young Lawyers Forum. I think it's quite impressive that the SBL has decided to focus on young lawyers now, so they know that, it's possible to be like part of their admirers and people that they are trying to go to as their role model. Would you say that SBL has got it right, or there's still a little bit more to do in that regard?
There will always be something to do, but I think we've taken the first correct steps, which is to get a very viable young lawyers forum, and it's been there for quite some time. And what you notice they've done is they've, year in, year out, expanded the scope and are keeping pace with what the parent body wants them to do. The future of any organization, indeed the SBL, lies in the strength of the young ones. Because anybody who measures the success of any organization should look at what's coming behind. And when we looked at how we could sustain this as pioneers, we had to go back down. And those conference organizers today, we consciously wooed them to come into the SBL. And I'm seeing already they're doing something similar for the younger generation. That's the way you sustain growth. So I'm very proud of what the SBL is doing.
And SBL in another 10 years, what do you think the section on business law is going to be? And do you think that, there's been improvements in the legal workforce based on the content and all the sessions at the section on business law?
I'll tell you something very clearly. The average Nigerian lawyer has benchmarked at least those who do business law, their standard with international standards. And the SBL will be largely responsible for this because we started sounding the globalization alarm. We started talking about engaging regulators. We started talking about engaging governments. In fact, when these conferences were held in Abuja, if you recall, 7 ministers came to our conferences. There were chairpersons, there were facilitators. The PIB was first unveiled at the SBL conference. So this is the value that comes when a body like the SBL gets its act together. So projecting 10 years, I see an organization that will not only answer to the needs of the profession, but it will be a very viable tool for change in this country. And everybody should watch out.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
All right.